Welcome back. We're on part two, and that means that it's hot tag time, and we only have really two this week. We'll throw out a little thing later on about Macho Man Day, but first up, Rey Mysterio might be retiring. They said his legs are pretty messed up. His knee might be need to be replaced, so we might be looking at the end of Rey Mysterio here. What do you guys think?
Poor
Um,
guy.
Go ahead, Mike.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing really else to say because at the end of the day, it's better than having him in the ring destroying himself.
Rey Mysterio's had a nice full career for himself. He's really just been, spinning his wheels the last number of years. He hasn't really particularly helped anyone else get over. He had that one, 10-minute championship run, but that's not like, it was anything special for him. If it's true, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's best that he gets out while he's still going to be able to walk.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I'm particularly going to miss him. I was never the biggest Rey Mysterio fan, except for like his really early WCW days. So, I hope Rey enjoys the rest of his life. I hear he's a very good gentleman, and good luck to him.
Does
And I'd
anybody
like
agree?
to clarify that, he's exceeded expectations in the WWE. He's done more than anyone in his position.
Does anybody else agree with me that? Well, I agree with you that I'm not the biggest Rey Mysterio fan, and I wouldn't really miss him and everything. And of course, I agree with you with the same thing that I hope that he doesn't, stay in a wheelchair the rest of his life or anything like that. But does anybody else agree that he should at least, if he's able to, come back and have a match with Sin Cara, SummerSlam or something like that?
I'm not interested in Sin Cara having a match with anybody anymore. He's like the whole reason why Botchamania exists.
I thought that was TNA.
In our tournament, Sin Cara couldn't even beat Frogger. Okay.
That's something I would pay to see on a pay-per-view. Sin Cara dodging cars.
I think we had him run over, didn't we?
Yeah, one person said that Frogger lost because he didn't make it to the arena and got run over. But then the other two said that Sin Cara would likely botch and lose the match somehow. So
that would happen, yeah.
So I don't know. Anybody else got anything to say about Rey though? Because I don't think there's much to go into about this. It kind of is what it is.
They're saying that he's a sort of a lifer in terms of being in the WWE. So he may have do something else. He'll probably it could be a hand backstage, helping talents or training the next superstar.
Telling them how to bitch to get a different contract. How many years have you been here, kid? 3?
If he becomes a road agent or something like that, does he unmask himself?
That I don't know. Huh. I don't know.
How does that work? What's the tradition in Mexico?
They keep the mask on.
That's good.
Like if a wrestler becomes a commentator, they keep the mask on?
Yep.
Well, I hope he doesn't become a commentator. He sucks on the mic.
Well, he can become a Spanish commentator.
Yeah, Spanish. Yeah. There you go. More than fine with that. Any Braden or Graham? Any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I completely agree. I think it was about almost 2 years ago that they signed Sin Cara to the WWE, and then that whole discussion came up that Sin Cara was being, primed to be the next Rey Mysterio of the company, the next Latino star. Obviously, that didn't work out well, but now that they have Del Rio as their top face of the company, I can see why as to they're kind of pushing Rey Mysterio out of the company slowly but surely. And again, like you guys were saying, I have no problem with it. I'm not the biggest fan of Rey Mysterio, especially a couple years ago when he was consistently over on SmackDown, not really putting over the likes of Cody Rhodes and Rey Mysterio, or I'm sorry, CM Punk, having great matches with them, but he'd always come out victorious. The whole underdog thing always got tiresome to me personally, but even still, in the last 2 years since then, he really hasn't done anything. So, yeah, like you were just saying, Tony, I would have loved to see that match with Sin Cara at WrestleMania after the whole tag team thing that they've been doing over the last few months, but sadly, they haven't been on TV consistently in order for that to happen. But fortunately, hopefully he's back in the next few months to have that one last match with Sin Cara come SummerSlam in Los Angeles. That'd be great. But aside from that, yeah, hopefully he returns sooner rather than later to do any more damage to his body going forward.
Who would be the heel in that match?
The fans, because they'd be booing both. Maybe Matthew of Botchamania. What do you think, Braden? Any thoughts?
We're talking about Rey Mysterio. He fell asleep.
That many?
Are you there, Braden? Oh, he's typing something. Can you hear me?
Braden is
No.
apparently having issues right now. Yeah, the buzzing in the background is from Michael Burr again. But Braden,
Am I back?
Yep, we have Braden back.
All right, as I was trying to say the entire time, apparently my preferences switched to completely different things, Skype being Skype. I've actually been a fan of Rey.
It's because it's a Rey Mysterio thing. It got botched.
Yes. But he doesn't botch. Isn't that Sin Cara's thing? He just like to botch.
Rey Mysterio botched a lot too.
Well, to be fair, he did adapt to the WWE style very well. But I've been a fan of him in like his entire career. So
Rey Mysterio.
You know, I'm a much bigger fan than everybody else in this room probably of like his work and his matches. And I would say he did put Cody over rather well at WrestleMania a few years back. I actually enjoyed that match. It was one of like the few gems that kind of poor show had to actually offer. But, you know, you don't want to see anybody end up crippled or anything like that. So if he needs to leave to save like a kneecap or like a leg, then you got to hang him up like Edge, you know, a few years back, having to retire or suffer, you know, fatal injury. So if it's true, I would say that it's time to walk away. But it's all rumor. We don't know if things are as bad as they are. Last update I heard from him, he had some sort of brace on his knee, but it's pretty quick for him to break down that quick after surgery, though. So time's definitely winding down his career for sure. And seeing Cara being the next Rey Mysterio, it's just not going to happen. I mean, they signed a perfect person that could have been a decent mask seller in like El Generico, and they took the mask off of him for whatever reason. So whatever. What is this company doing? Maybe they still have hope in seeing Cara.
Unico.
Yeah.
Throw out one little thing real quick. And I mean like really quick. May 20th, some people are trying to have it become Macho Man Randy Savage Day. So
this is an official petition on whitehouse.gov. We, the people, have the power Obama has given us to petition for anything that we want. If we get enough signatures on there, the government will pay attention.
Unless it's the Death Star.
Go to whitehouse.gov and search for designate May 20th as Macho Man Randy Savage Day and sign up. Sign the petition. It's just going to drop your initials on there, what city you're from. I don't even think you have to have it show what city. You can just put your initials, so you're not putting any private information out there. Help Macho Man Randy Savage get his just due, because WWE is not giving it to him.
And I will say, with your help, we can get rid of the Spanish. Sorry.
And the main topic that we have this week, Paul Bearer unfortunately passed away. William Moody, Percy Pringle, whatever you know him by. Most people know him by Paul Bearer, the manager of the Undertaker, and as we mentioned earlier, Kane. And actually, we didn't mention that, but
spoilers.
He actually managed. Didn't he manage somebody else too?
Vader.
Vader was the one I'm thinking.
He came out with Goldust for a hot minute.
Yeah, that's
of
true.
course.
I'm sure he briefly managed Foley as Mankind too.
Yeah, the Foley thing, and you know.
No, he did for a long time.
Yeah, so most people know him by that. Most people know him as somebody who has died multiple times on WWE TV. This is not an angle. This is actually the guy passed away. So hopefully they don't say anything about it and bring it into the angle with CM Punk. I'm normally okay with them doing stuff like that, but not when it comes to somebody actually dying.
It's just kind of exploiting, you know?
Yeah, it's a different story when somebody gets injured and then you go, oh, that person injured them, instead of them slipping and falling in the bathtub or something like that. I'm fine with that, but when somebody actually dies, I hope that they just have a video package up there and that's about it. And you know what else people have been thrown out there, and I agree, if they don't have that one extra spot for the Hall of Fame this year, posthumously induct him. You might as well. You know what I mean?
Well,
yeah.
It is pretty quick, though, I guess.
Well,
my
problem
they couldn't wait a year.
Yeah, my problem with that
Well,
is
yeah,
that
but
he
died in like the fall, and they inducted him at least like a few months afterwards. This is like immediately afterwards.
Yeah, but still.
a time between. You know?
I think it'd be a little awkward if you
why not?
do it at another time instead. If like
Or
3
what
years
if they
from now.
waited until
Like
they
Savage
inducted
now.
The Undertaker?
What was that, Graham?
What if they waited until they inducted the Undertaker and they did it together?
That would be a great idea.
Yeah, you know what? That would be a good idea. And you know what? I actually am hoping that Undertaker gets inducted next year.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking too.
So
I think he
that
actually will, and it'll kind of be a big thing about that being his last match at
Him against John
WrestleMania
Cena?
30. Yeah, I think that's
the
what they're
John Cena
saving for
retirement match.
personally.
Imagine if they inducted Percy Pringle and Paul Bearer.
separately.
Yeah, then Ric Flair would be pissed.
Well, Ric Flair would just come back and he'd be like, "Induct me in Evolution. Induct me with the Miz." He'd be like, "Jeff Jarrett stole part of my gimmick. Induct me for them."
We could put the Black Spider in the Hall of Fame, right?
So I think we can all kind of agree, though, that it sucks that Paul Bearer obviously is gone. I was actually hoping that he would be the person who would induct the Undertaker. Obviously, that we're not going to see that anymore. But maybe the Undertaker gets to induct Paul Bearer next year, or this year, or hopefully in the future. But
yeah, it's terribly tragic because he's like one of my favorite managers ever, if not my favorite manager, because growing up he managed a lot of wrestlers that I watched. So it's kind of a little heartbreaking, especially when a lot of people were speculating if he was going to have any involvement in this feud between Undertaker and CM Punk too, and then this right after Taker returns, this happens.
Yeah, that's really weird too. Actually, Undertaker pops up that night, and then what was it, the next day or something like that?
Yeah, and next day or two afterwards.
Shame. Well, that kind of covers that. As we said, it's a shame. No pun really intended, but it goes without being said. Rest in peace, Paul Bearer. Next part will be obviously a much more fun part where we're talking about the top 5 WrestleMania main events of all time, and then we'll move on to the TNA talk in part 4.